Hello everyone, I'm Sun. You're listening to Legendary Stories. Today will be a continuation of the I'm Growing Up series, and this is episode 2. Our topic today is self-learning. Self-learning here isn't just about acquiring knowledge in school, studying, revising, and getting high scores. Honestly, that's a very small part of it. For Sun, grades only reflect your academic ability in certain areas or subjects. What Sun wants to talk about here is self-learning in life, learning from everything that happens. From childhood to developing better awareness and gradually maturing, Sun believes the process of self-learning and self-development is indispensable, especially learning from our own mistakes. There are so many things we have to learn in this life. So, naturally, the I'm Growing Up series couldn't be complete without learning, folks. But Sun is confident that with this podcast, you won't feel that self-learning is something too heavy if we approach the world and ourselves with curiosity. You'll find learning to be very interesting. A question arises here: why do we have to self-learn? Many of you might already understand this, but some might not. Because you don't know, you might feel that self-learning is something a bit forced, a bit constrained. You don't feel free, you don't feel comfortable. However, Sun finds that self-learning is precisely what brings freedom. I believe I have an extreme desire to understand everything around my life, from finances to relationships. I'm curious about it. And secondly, I feel responsible for my own life. No one, absolutely no one, can be more responsible than myself, and no one else can learn for me. Especially, there are many lessons that only you can learn for yourself because no one else will experience the same emotions as you. No one has the exact same story. Sun believes that those of you listening to this podcast also have your own stories, things difficult to tell others, things you realize and understand on your own. But there are also some personal stories you still can't overcome because, inherently, you're still stuck there, sad and tired, instead of trying to learn something from it. Even in the first episode that just aired, Sun also talked about self-awareness, and self-learning greatly supports you in the process of understanding yourself better. So the next question is, what will we learn and where will we learn it from? You must be curious about this, right? There are countless things we need to learn. In fact, Sun wants to use a more relatable word: discovery. Self-learning is essentially self-discovery. To discover ourselves, we explore the world around us, discover relationships, and see our own reflection in that space. Because our true selves don't exist alone. We don't exist in an empty, colorless room with nothing in it. Instead, we live this life in a house, on a bed, constantly interacting and meeting people. Our professional field is this, our major is that. We are always associated with the image of a student at some school, an employee at some company, or someone's child. Sun won't talk much about learning specialized knowledge because I think you're already quite clear on that. If you want to develop professionally, whether in studies or work, you will certainly need to research and pursue it. By a certain age, you'll definitely know that this is essential. And recently, Sun also released a video on self-learning, offering some tips to help you learn more effectively, primarily related to professional studies. Today, however, Sun thinks there are a few things we need to self-learn. You like details, so today Sun will give you the detailed breakdown. Most of what Sun learns comes from very small, everyday things in life. We have to learn how to learn from the smallest things that happen in your life. You can even learn a lesson when you achieve success too early, for instance. Even failures or unfortunate events can teach you a lesson. Sometimes, simply sitting at a tea stall and listening to someone else's story can teach you something. Occasionally, you just observe people, sitting at a cafe, looking outside, not even listening to any sound, just watching, and you learn something. Sometimes the lesson isn't so grand that it will change your life, but it will be something you hold in your heart, something you keep there. And suddenly, one day, it will transform into your intuition and help you make decisions or choices. That is the value of reflecting, understanding, and drawing lessons for yourself from the very small things around life. The first thing Sun thinks is that we should learn how to interact with strangers, people we don't know yet. Sun believes many of you underestimate this, but don't you see? This is almost the most frequent occurrence in your life. Because when we are born, we are only our parents' children. We all have to get to know new people. Everyone is new to us. You might have a best friend for 10 years, but obviously, 10 years ago, you were just getting to know each other. And gradually, as we grow up, it becomes very difficult for us to make friends. It's hard to have that innocence and comfort to connect like we used to. So, Sun thinks we need to learn, simply by observing folks. Recently, Sun has been participating in some new and interesting activities like tennis. Currently, Sun is taking 2 lessons a week. I'm meeting new friends, and we have common interests like sports. Actually, this is a very easy situation to get acquainted in, there's nothing difficult about it. But in reality, my personality isn't someone who easily takes the initiative to get to know others. Honestly, it's just my personality. Maybe many of you have a similar personality. As a result, I still tend to sit in a place where there aren't too many people. I like places where I can sit by myself, you know? Is that the price of growing up? I don't know, but the older I get, the more I feel quite shy about talking to strangers. And when I came to the tennis court, everyone was so relaxed and cheerful. They would pull me in and introduce me. Oh, I'm just starting to play. Everyone, please get to know each other. Suddenly, I felt, oh, actually, this is more fun. Honestly, this is a lesson I learned from stepping out and meeting people, but not in a business partner kind of way, just people with common interests and shared joy. I hadn't encountered a situation quite like this before, or not in a long time. But afterward, I felt everyone was very comfortable chatting and asking simple questions. Of course, when you first meet, you shouldn't ask too deeply about personal lives, but sometimes it's good to take the initiative to get to know people. Sun thinks that's a good thing, rather than just sitting in a corner and keeping everyone at arm's length. For me, a smile is probably the most important thing to connect with strangers. Sometimes, the signal is sent even before you see each other, before you talk for the first time. That signal is given through a smile and eye contact, but if you want more people to feel comfortable around you or to approach you, then smile often. Sometimes, even an unconscious smile works, because a smile makes you seem very relaxed and approachable. Sun thinks this is a very important lesson, especially for those of you who need to do jobs that involve meeting many people, like HR or sales, which require social connection skills. You'll definitely need to learn a lot from observing and knowing how to interact with different types of people. For me, I don't have such grand lessons. I simply find that sometimes, just a smile makes relationships much more approachable. So that's the first lesson I think all of us need to learn, because all of us will need new relationships, right? At some point, we can't just think everyone will be with us forever. That's another lesson. We absolutely must learn how to live well on our own and understand that no one will be with you forever, not even parents or siblings. One day, they will leave this world. We can never know. We need to learn to be self-reliant and not depend on anyone, thinking they will live with us forever. That will never happen, folks. The act of self-learning or self-training to become an independent person has changed my life a lot. Of course, it's not like I'm completely independent of everyone now, but I'm sure I don't completely rely on anyone, meaning I don't entrust my life to anyone. Every day, I learn how to take care of myself, how to clean, how to develop my career, how to accept my emotions, how to understand my thoughts, how to accept everything that happens in life. And all these things help me become a more independent person. Independence is not about being separate or disconnected from everyone. Independence is about not being dependent. That is what's important. So, Sun feels that the most important thing in our daily lives, no matter what job or profession you're in, is that we must learn how to become more independent, both emotionally and financially. That doesn't mean you won't accept help from others, though. It's very different. I learned this when I interacted with someone and asked them for something. This is my own concept. There's something very simple, but I would ask again and again, continuously. People would get very annoyed, folks. The first or second time, they might answer you, but by the third or fourth time, they start getting annoyed and don't want to answer anymore. That very dependence makes others uncomfortable with you. They will underestimate you, and that's a very big lesson in our lives. Now, you need to learn to observe a bit, and sometimes you need to try something. If you're not sure about something, try it a little. But generally, we need to know how to observe and follow, down to every text message. I can even analyze how someone is feeling. Of course, I know sometimes these traits aren't so good because this is an analytical trait, and people who analyze a lot also tend to overthink. But the good thing is, I think I'm doing it from an objective standpoint, so I analyze and reflect without overinterpreting. I just analyze and accept it. So, I learned to be self-reliant by doing things myself first. Whatever I can do myself, I will do. I only ask for help from others when it's absolutely necessary. As for those who are very close, they know what difficulties I'm facing, and they will proactively offer their support. This leads us to another thing we need to learn: how to help others. In fact, one of the ways to connect relationships is by helping folks. So when you connect with people around you, you also need to care about their difficulties, and you'll help them when they're in need. If you're there for them, those who cherish you will definitely, absolutely, not let you go through your struggles alone. They will certainly care and see what you're going through, how difficult things are for you. We should learn to help people around us, folks. Even if sometimes you help and they don't even show gratitude, it's okay. Let's help with a giving heart without expecting anything in return, because you've just learned to be independent. Once you're independent, you'll help others without needing to wonder if they'll ever repay you. Just help, that's all. If afterward you feel that person isn't worthy of continued help from you, then you can stop. But if possible, help everyone, because sometimes it's truly a wonderful thing, folks. It's more wonderful than money. It's a beautiful seed that brings even more wonderful things your way, truly. This has happened a lot in my life because Sun is someone who believes in karma. Many times, I just helped others unconsciously, without thinking anything of it. However, shortly after, I received so many opportunities and things that, looking back, I felt were very much related to that person, the one I had helped. They themselves were the ones who brought new opportunities to me. So many things in life are truly a cycle. Often you might think, why is that person so evil and they don't face any karma? Right? But don't worry too much about others. Focus on yourself and your actions. Who are you when no one is around? Truly rely on your daily actions to know that karma always exists. Whatever seeds you sow, you will reap the fruits. Sow good seeds, you'll receive good fruits. Sow bad seeds, you'll receive bad fruits. That's it. Be more mindful of your path and your actions. Another thing Sun wants us to self-learn is how to overcome the negative thoughts you have about yourself. You might think Sun is always calm and can overcome everything, but in reality, there are times when I'm very, very sad. Not too long ago, actually. I wish I could tell you the details, but I don't want to. Because every time I recount it, it gets exaggerated, and now it's no longer important in my life. I don't want to bring those things up again. However, there have been stories that happened, making me feel bad about myself. Maybe it came from someone else, an action from someone I love very much, for example, which made me question myself, feel insufficient, not good enough, exhausted, and think, how much more do I have to try? What else do I need to do? But right after that, the things I had done became a huge source of strength. Sun just talked about helping others without expecting anything in return, right? Well, I once listened to and shared with a young girl, and that day, for some reason when I was at my most broken, she messaged me to say thank you. She said, "Thank you for appearing in my life and for giving me a direction that feels so right, for explaining things I needed to hear." And suddenly, hearing those words, I felt so much comfort. I felt that yes, I will never be enough, I will never be perfect. However, there will be people who see my value, people who see the wonderful things I'm doing. And then there are others who will only look at what I haven't achieved. And now I accept that. I will never be good enough for you if you don't value what I can do and only look at what I cannot do. I specialized in math, why do you keep forcing me to be good at English? That's ridiculous. I'm a doctor, why do you insist I draw beautifully? That makes no sense. So, learning how to overcome your own negative thoughts is very necessary. In truth, if given a choice, no one would choose to overcome pain to grow up, right? We all want everything to be gentle and pleasant. But let's be grateful for all the storms that come into life, because they are the biggest lessons you'll ever learn. And learning from mistakes is a wonderful way to understand this world more deeply. So, listen more, observe more. Observe how others treat you, observe how you care for and protect yourself, observe how others react to stories that unfold. In general, observe, and sometimes you yourself have to set up tests to know how you should change your behavior. I'll tell you about a lesson I learned while observing. That day, I was sitting in my usual spot, right near my house's compound. The spot faced where people would hold barbecues. A family seemed to be celebrating someone's birthday. I was just waiting for my food with nothing to do, so I just watched folks. Sun didn't want to bury my face in my phone. I preferred to observe everything and breathe in the air. So I saw a mother grilling meat. Only the mother was grilling. At the table, there was the husband, a grandmother, and perhaps 2 or 3 children, about 5 people all eating. At that moment, do you know what I thought? I decided then and there that I would definitely marry a man who would grill meat for me, or at least help me grill meat. Seriously, folks. Seeing that scene, I felt so much pity for that woman. She was grilling meat and serving the whole family. Her husband sat there, needing chili sauce, needing this and that, not getting it himself. She had to run around everywhere to buy this and that. And you know what? The worst part was that when she finally came to sit down and eat, everything was already cold and everyone had almost finished eating. Only then did she get to eat. I truly observed one thing: that husband absolutely did not love his wife, he didn't truly care about her. The children were still small, so that's understandable, but I didn't see that as the image of a happy woman. She looked very sad, and right then I had a thought. No, I will definitely marry a man who will grill meat for me, and I will be by his side to help him. Then we will eat together. Grilling and eating at the same time is fine, but it shouldn't be that she has to grill for everyone, and then only at the very end does she get to sit down and eat. The issue isn't the food, folks, that's not what's important. What's important is, does anyone think of me? When I think of everyone else, the woman gets used to sacrificing. Maybe she thinks it's her duty, but Sun sees so much pity. I feel so much pity for her. That's definitely not the image I want to become. It was simply from observing, and it created a very strong intuition for me in choosing a man for my life. I need to observe how he treats his family or how he cares for and shares with others. You see. Sometimes we just need to observe our surroundings, pay a little attention, and see if those things touch our hearts. So, observe more, listen more. That's what Sun wanted to share in this podcast. It might not follow a strict 1, 2, 3, 4 structure, but it will be something that helps you truly pay more attention to your own life, things you might not have cared much about before, for example. We can learn everything from the smallest things in daily life. Listen more to your emotions, observe them, and see the lessons, the messages the universe wants to send you. Thank you all very much for listening to today's podcast. The I'm Growing Up series will continue to air in Sun's upcoming episodes. Thank you once again, and I'll see you in the next episodes.